Hello people, my name's Roy, Rrm Autoworks, some of you might have heard. Have you ever wondered what people's drive is to build their cars? Have you ever wondered what their passion is, how they got into cars as a young age? Well, I'd like to find out, you see, so what I'm about to do is, I want to bring people into my studio as a guest, and I want to find out exactly what fuels their passion for their builds, their cars and whatnot, and have fun with it on my day off. Let's get to it. Hello there, I'm Roy. Welcome to our Rrm Autoworks. This is my 1995 Subaru Impreza GC8. This is my 1993 Toyota Starlet GT Turbo. This car I've owned for over 5 years coming up now, and the Subaru Impreza just means so much to me. I'm going to cover my backstory and what fueled my passion for cars, why I'm into them so much, how I managed to come and to build my business up as such into my detailing studio, how I basically got into the position I am now, and why I have the cars I've got around me. This one I only took delivery last week, so we'll get onto this a bit later. But it is my new fresh baby, 3 weeks, straight out of Japan. It's not even plated as you can see yet, so it's still not fully registered on road. But this one really is a dear car to me, something I've always wanted. And yeah, I'm just going to give you a real big lowdown of my history of why I came to love cars so much, and it starts right from a young age. How it all started, from a really, really young age, I was told that I could from the age of 4 or 5. Not sure if it's true, I can't remember that far back, but I was told that this is what happened. I was told by my mum and my dad that I could recognise different cars and different brands of car just by looking at how many wheel nuts there were on a hub at such a young age. I suppose that's pretty sad for a child to know, I don't know, but yeah, so it's really from a young age. I've always loved cars. I grew up playing with cars, watching cars on the TV. Motorsports particularly is what got me into this Subaru. We'll cover that in a sec. But yeah, it started really young for me. I remember where I lived was a basketball court, and there's like a car park, you see. And my dad used to take me down there in his Ford Granada, his 2.8 injection. Sit me on his lap when I was a kid, and this is one of my earliest memories. And I used to steer the car around the car park and drive with him. So with that being said, it was from there on that I was destined to go on to do something with cars as a job, career, and to provide. So yeah, it started from when I was really young, growing up. It come to around about 8 years old, really starting to remember these thoughts now, where I was watching Colin McRae in the WRC. Watched a lot of rally. Obviously I'm a 90s baby, so the PlayStation 1 era of, the WRC, Colin McRae rally, all that sort of thing. Obviously the Subaru Impreza, it was Colin McRae's car. I won the 1995 championship in it, and I was hooked on that particular car from then. And whatever people used to say to me in school growing up, this was the best car in the world. Throw a Lamborghini, Ferrari at me, I wasn't interested. Obviously I liked them cars and supercars, but this was the one for me. I absolutely loved the Subaru, the way it made the noise from a boxer engine, just the way it got down a mud track, and how McRae himself drove it. You can't ever take away that he was one of the greatest rally drivers of all time. So yes, from growing up, that was when I made the decision in my life, I'm going to own one of them cars one day. Then I suppose it was the sort of, it transitioned into the max power era. Now that holds, you could probably tell from this sort of car. Obviously growing up, my mum used to buy me the magazines. I know that my mother buying me a Max Power magazine, it's a bit weird I suppose, being as what their magazines do contain. But I was probably one of the stranger kids at school that preferred looking to the cars inside the magazine than the content that I'm sure a lot of you would know. But yeah, the Max Power era come, and then I was starting to draw pictures of cars of how I wanted them to be. So I'd see like Delta body kits on Fiestas, Ford Escorts, Citroen Saxos, Corsa Bs, all the little hot hatches. So this was before my obsession with JDM, if you like. It was like I was looking at these cars that people had been building Max Power, and I was like, I want my own version of that. So I get like envelopes, scrap bits of paper, and just draw pictures of cars, different body kits. I'd actually look down the listings in the back pages of when you used to be able to go down to style and all that, and choose which kit you want, and actually draw that bumper onto the front of the car and driven. I know it's mad, but I used to do it, and I was like, that's what I'm going to build. I even had a friend in school that I used to say it all the time to him. I was like, this is how we're going to have our car, we'll have our names and stickers and all this sort of thing. Yeah, so all through my younger years, I was always obsessed with what cars to have, which ones I want to build, what I want to have when I'm older. And my number one goal was, as soon as I hit 17 years old, I will pass my test before I was 18. Fast forward, and yeah, it actually happened. I passed my test 6-7 months after I turned 17, so I was lucky. I had my first car, which happened to be a Rrm Metro. There you go, 1994 Autoworks it was. Yeah, so it spanned from there, and my journey began from there. Yeah, I don't know whether people think that it's like embarrassing, but I don't care. Everyone has their first car, and they didn't matter what they did to it, they thought it was the bee's knees. I had a Metro, it had plastic wheel trims, underglow neons, because as well as all the Max Power era, the first Fast and Furious film come out around in the early 2000s. So obviously everyone was going after that sort of look of the underglow chassis neon and all that lot. Yeah, I had red seat covers and eyelids that were on with black masking tape. The typical kid who, I was only earning, little wages at the time, and it's all I could afford to do. And I wanted to be that guy who had a modified car, stick a little bean can exhaust on the end. Yeah, I've got a modified car. That was me, I loved it. But yeah, obviously the passion remained there, and it was around that time then when I swapped it out for a Rover Tomcat 220 turn coupe. So with that was my first real, this is a cool car at the time. It was a 1994 again on an Autoworks, and I absolutely love that car. It had the T-tops as they do, full Recaro beige interior, low springs and 17-inch wheels. Now for me that was a big step up to go from that to a Rover, and at the time I think I was only 18, coming up to 19 when I had that car. So with that said, that was when I was starting to look at, you can get body kits for them, you can get wheels for them cars back in the day. So then I had more of an option. I didn't have to improvise like with my Metro. I did the traditional where you cut the front number plate recess out with a big massive grille, and you make like the mouth, the motorcycle, square exhaust on the side. So yeah, with the arrival of the Rover, it was, I can go all out with this car, even though it was a Rover. And then I found myself hanging with a group of friends that were a lot older than me. And with that, it was kind of, this is where the JDM started to happen inside me then. Yeah, so I found myself hanging around with a group of young people who were older than me, going out to different meets and cruises. Anybody who knows the Hansel days, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I had friends that had RX-7s, Toyota Supras, Silvia S14s, and Subarus of course. So I remember there was a guy in our group of friends, and there was quite a few of us, that had a white one of these, a GC8, like a version 6 WRX, and I just thought it was the best car in the world, and that's what I wanted. Yeah. It was white, absolutely fantastic car, but just the Japanese cars in general, it was like, the RX-7 with its sleek body lines, the Toyota Supras, all of those sort of cars, to me, they just looked better, they sounded better, most of them were turbocharged, and everyone was boosted. From the Fast and Furious films, obviously the JDM thing was shown through, even from the Honda Civics at the beginning. And that was what struck me then. I was going to move on from my Rover, and that's what I wanted. My next car was to be Japanese, and that was my aim and goal. And I remember everywhere I went on cruises, we did like Leicester tours and everywhere. I was always the one getting left behind. So, I was the one in the slow Rover, everyone had these boosted cars and they'd take off and I'd have to catch up, and I was like, oh man. I remember saying to, the passengers, whoever it was in the passenger seat, oh don't worry, one day I'm going to have something as quick as that. I'm going to have something that I'll be able to keep up with the crew, maybe leave them, But for now, I'm happy with what I've got. And it continued for that period of time until 2007, I think it was. Right through until I bought my first Japanese car, which was a Gen 7 Toyota Celica. That was the first newish car I actually bought. Obviously the Rrm and everything else was 1994, they were like early 90s cars. The Celica was a 2001, which back then it was still pretty newish and paid a lot of money for it. When I financed it, couldn't afford to buy it, right? Yeah, so I was working, and it turned out that I was actually working every hour, and a quarter of my wages would go on the car payment, which was, you know, when you're a kid, you don't think about the sort of things. But I wanted the car that badly. I actually crashed my Rover, we'll get that. And I was going to work on the bus, and on the bus journey there was a dealer, a Hyundai dealership I used to have to go past at Sheldon, and it was on the forecourt for weeks, and I used to drive past it all the time, and I used to say to them, I was just like, I want that car, I'm going to go get that car. And it never happened, and then one day I was just like, I can't be bothered, I'm going to the dealership, I'm going to go buy that car, I can't be doing bus journeys anymore, I've waited long enough. I went into Motor Fair, which is where it was. I went straight into the dealership, and I said to the guy, well, look, I want the keys to that Celica, I want to drive it home. He was like, you don't want to test drive it? I said, I just want it. You know what I mean? And that was the beginning of the journey. We paid for work, it was all good, and I bought that car. So the Celica Gen 7, absolutely fantastic, and I absolutely love that car. I miss it so much. It was a great car, it never went wrong, ever. For 3 years I've been owning that, until I eventually crashed that one as well. Yeah, ditched it, but that was the first time I got to spend a bit of money on modifications. So it had like the 18-inch Monza TRD wheels, it had a Blitz no-spec exhaust system, full decal kit. So I was trying to replicate what a Gen 7 would look like as a rally car. These are the things, with all the cars that I've built up to modern day, I kind of see what if. So take a motorsport, or like a drift car, drag car, track car, time attack car, anything. I'm like, what would that car look like on that track in that certain motorsport, and that's what I would replicate. So in the case with Celica, it was like, what if they did a Gen 7 TRD spec rally car Celica, and I'd jot it down in my head, draw things out, and then I'd go and chase and design the car and build it to exactly what I thought it would look like. Again, same thing happened with this, but we'll come to that. Yeah, so that's what happened with the Celica, and it went, and then I was off the road then and had a couple of cars in between, such as I had a Mondeo ST, and it was the worst car. I know that people might say they're good, but it was the worst car I ever had, it always went wrong. Quickly got rid of that. I had a Ford Fiesta Zetec S Mark V, but that was a brilliant car. I actually really enjoyed that car, and it never went wrong, believe it or not. And that was a track build. I actually built that full splitters kit and stripped out interior, buckets, the lot. And that's when we come on to the journey of the detailing studio and the Subaru. Yeah, so with the sort of detailing coming, at the time I had the Fiesta, it was quite struggling. I've just had Athena, as many as you probably know, little drift queen. She was born, and we was in a bit of a bad place, and I really needed a job, like, you know, struggling financially, etc. as well. And I remember I went to an interview for a guy who owns an American company, and I remember his words to me. He said to me, he was like, on the phone, he was like, come down for an interview, but I'm not promising you anything. Straight away, that's all he said. He didn't give me a time schedule, he just said he'd text it to me. But yeah, his words were, his exact words, I remember him. He said to me, he was like, I'm not promising you anything, but come down and we'll see how you do. So I was like, right, okay. I drove there on whatever fuel I had left in the tank, did what I needed to do for him, and he put me on a trial for 2 weeks, £180 a week, and all I had to do was get a hose pipe and just walk along a dealership forecourt, just washing every single car on the exterior only. And that was my job. I was just literally washing cars on the hose pipe. And I thought, I'm just going to listen to everything he's got to tell me, because this guy's doing well. I've seen other people that are growing, you know, I can do it now. And I remember it was the time where I picked up my first weekly wage of £180 after the first week I'd ever done, after struggling so long, in my Fiesta. And I took my daughter to McDonald's, and I remember I bought her a Happy Meal out of my own money that I'd earned for so long after struggling. And that was a pretty special time, you know, to say, yeah, I've just provided for my daughter, you know, it was nice. But the hunger kind of grew after that. I was like, I want more, do you know what I mean? I've proved that I can go out there and do it, and now I'm going to start chasing. Yeah, so the hunger took over, and then I was striving then in that company. I was like, right, this is what I'm going to do. And I remember the guy saying to me who owned the company who I was working for, keep doing what you're doing and you're going to go far, you are. And I was like, whatever, man. You don't listen to people, do you? You just like crack on. But as time went across and it progressed, I ended up becoming service. So I moved up from washing the pitch cars, pitch washer, whatever. And I was into the service, so providing washes for service cars, company service. And then before that, I was moved over to another dealership to learn a valet trade, so sales cars, new car showroom valets. And then I worked my way up to becoming a manager of another site. So once I was up there, I had like guys under me then. It took about 2-3 years to get to that stage. But I got there, and it was my responsibility. Our gaffer wasn't on site of the valeting company, and it was just up to me and my responsibility. And it was at that time, once I got to that period, this car came. I bought it as a barn find, a wreck, off a farm in Kent from a guy who had an Evo time attack car. He had an Evo, Subaru. He bought this one for his wife, and she didn't like it, it was too fast for her or whatever. So he was selling it, and I managed to go down and pick this car up for, believe it or not, at the time, and we all know what JDM cars are worth now, 1,900 quid, it's all I paid for this. And even that, back in the day, it's a lot of money for a car that, was sitting on a farm for a long period of time not doing anything. So yeah, I finally, after all this time, from 8 years old, wanting to be like Colin McRae, I was 30, and I finally got my hands on a Subaru. So this was bought, as most Japanese cars come, rusty. Had no arches left on it, the rear bumper was hanging off. And the valves all inside with that squeaky rattle, and I remember when I actually picked it up, the guy giving me money off so I could replace the valves. So we bought it back from Kent. My brother took me down there to pick it up. My uncle always said to me all the time, I used to rattle on about, I'm going to get Subaru, I want a Subaru one day. He always said, keep it stock, it'll be worth more money, don't mess around with it, don't modify it, don't do this. And he's 100% right. In most concourse absolute OEM cars are worth more valuable, but you can see clearly that didn't quite work out to how I wanted it to go. This is far from stock, so straight away I knew I wanted to do stuff to it, and I think I've started. It already came with a 22B adjustable wing, not a real one. It was, still more just as good. And bits and pieces like an exhaust system from ProDrive. It had the worst Lexus lights. Sorry if the owner ever sees this, but the Lexus lights on the Subaru is for me. So they got swapped out pretty quickly to the JDM 22B style rear lights that you can see on it now. And I just put basically wheels and suspension, so I put a set team suspension on it, which were just sport springs, they weren't coilovers at the time. And I actually rocked Audi RS4 wheels at first. So I put German wheels on the Japanese car, hands up to that, I know. But yeah, it was, straight away I knew the direction I wanted to go in it, and it was just nice. And to be honest with you, the direction I wanted to go with this car was more Colin McRae, WRC, keeping it to the roots of the the rally car styles, so keep the front end the same with the front bumper, possibly a 22B bumper swap. Never got around to that because finding one is expensive, and to get a genuine one, it's just you can buy one of these for that. But yeah, as we continue to do that, I continued to work and grow, and then I bought another car, which was a Lexus IS200 to replace my Fiesta. I love that car, that was fantastic, and I used that as a daily and then kept this as a weekend toy then. Yes, with the arrival of the Lexus, it was kind of, I had a daily car, do you know what I mean, to use. I could just use that, and with the Lexus for stock, I didn't touch that all apart from seats and windows. But with that, I could kind of go to town on this car, so I started drawing out, just like I used to as a kid, envelope from a bill that would come through, turn it over, borrow a pen, and started sketching out ideas of what I wanted. As I said to you earlier, PlayStation 1 Gran Turismo era was what I loved, and then the Tommy Cara. I've always loved and had a passion for those cars, whether it be the Tommy Cara Skyline, Subarus, the Legacies even that they did. And you know what, they're that rare. I mean, there's only 400 Tommy Cara saloons in the world. You never come across one for sale unless you're really lucky, especially in the UK. So my plan was then, as time grew, I want the Tommy Cara M20B, but I'm never going to find one that's for sale done. The next best thing I can do is keep searching for the body panels, the bumpers, genuine from Japan, And when they come up, I'm going to do it. And it's, their Marmite, I know, you know, friends even, like my closest best friends were even saying, not too sure about that, Roy, it's unclear at the start of it. But I was still adamant, and when I got something in my head and I drew it, I want to do it. And I said, you know what, it's a gamble, I won't make my car look worse, I won't make it look better, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's what I want to do. And sticking to the Gran Turismo roots, that was when it was jotted down, it was sealed, and that's what I wanted to do, and I was going to build a Tommy car in 20B. Yeah, so I continued to work right through having the Lexus, and then the red Mazda come along. But the story, which I won't go into that, I'll use it for another time, but one of the Mazdas come along, which is now the Rocket Bunny one, and was red at the time. And I just put that to one side, decided I'll leave that and I'll get this one finished first. So the first thing was to find the bumpers on this car. So as you can see here, it's an original Tomicara M20B front bumper. It come out of a crate container that a guy I knew that ships Japanese parts from Japan to the UK. He didn't even know what it was, and I was like, that is what I'm after. It even come with, I think it was the real one that come with the plaque. The front one didn't. I had to buy that plaque from Japan, from Tomicara, like a JDM Imports, JDM Parts Ninja. I had to buy that plaque, £160 for a plaque, just because of its genuine Tomicara. But you spend stupid money on stupid things, and it's your passion. But yeah, I found the bumper, eventually found the rear. I did the decal kit myself, and I actually got them from Japan, the actual logo vectored artwork, so I could use the exact ones as how they run on real cars. It doesn't run any spots underneath now. These are just covers, again, that have been modified to fit the calibre of the car, simply because of the front mount intercooler and the piping behind. You can't fit spotlights in the bumper the way it's been built now. Yeah, and it carried on, so eventually the dream was coming true, and when I got the bumper, I had it painted back. I bought the splitter from Graham Starling, and I put all this together in my living room and looked at the envelope there. I then looked at the bumper and I fitted it all together, slid it in position, and it was such a good feeling to see that something was there in the person that I originally drew on an envelope. Yeah, so with building this car, it had already transitioned more or less into a track sort of build. I'd got a daily, I'd got a couple of others by then, and so this was like I could actually go to town on it and become just focused for track racing only. With the arrival of bucket seats, 4-point harnesses, as you can see, and the harness bar, stripped out door cards, so there's no speakers, no stereo in it. It was like, right, I might as well just carry on with this, and it's a full-on track build. Yeah, I actually finished the car, including the front lights wasn't on, but the build itself was finished January 2020 into the form it is now. I mean, it's been an ongoing build for years. Still not finished now, as a lot of you probably already know. I have got other plans, I'm just waiting on parts. You always seem to be waiting for people on parts, don't you? But I'm still waiting for something to arrive in the post. But this one here, this was completely minus the headlights. These are carbon, obviously my red star headlights. Yeah, and it actually got it into Autosport International, which was another dream, a milestone. I mean, from being this kid watching McRae, wanting a Subaru for so long, to then driving Metros and Rovers as a kid, which I love them cars, and then seeing others, I wonder how I'm going to have that, to finally sitting back in 2020 January, just before lockdown, and standing back and seeing I've got my own built Subaru, exactly how I want it, with the carbon wings, the carbon bonnet, in the NEC on display was something that was so special, and I was like, I've actually done it, I'm happy, I don't need to do anymore. And that was a real special feeling, it really was. Yeah, and prior to the Autosport International, the reason why that moment was so special to me is to put it quite as a lowdown for you. A year or so before that happened, I actually bought the business that I was working for. So after becoming a manager, etc., and running that one part of the dealership, the guy wanted to retire, and he comes to me and he said that, he approached me, we had a chat, and he said, do you want to take over? Do you want to buy the business off me now? Because I'm done with it. Me thinking, I'm just a kid from Charmsley Wood that just loves washing cars, and now all of a sudden you'd be asking me to become a business owner. So I'm like, I don't know about that, I'm going to have a think. But we had more meetings and more discussions, and he sold me the dream, sold me the idea, and I was like, right, okay, I'll do it. So I bought the business off him with everything that I had, literally everything that I could backside, etc. And yet, soon things got quite bad, and anybody that says these dark places and mental health and depression doesn't exist, You know, it's another whole different ball game. I'm going to completely openly admit it, I went for a real bad time taking that business on, where I thought that everything I'd worked for, including this car, which is my dream, was going to go. It come close, that's all I'm going to say, it come close. But with my better half and everyone else who supported me, especially my better half, for my children's sake, we made it through, and we managed to get the business back on track and take it over. We got through the struggles, the main struggles, and then we made it work, and we built up, and we had 2 contracts at 2 dealerships that were running. And then that was another reason when I stood at Autosport International staring at this car, I didn't care about anything else, it was just, we succeeded. So as you all know, everyone knows that March 2020, April 2020, the whole world crashed, died, burned, whatever you want to say. We had a big global pandemic, and a lot of things were ruined, a lot of people faced tough times. And yeah, everyone was in a mess. Everyone, I can probably confidently say everybody out there suffered at some point during the pandemic that's been going on lately. June, so we fast forward to June, obviously the cars, they took a back step with that because everyone was uncertain what was going to happen. In June, I actually lost a contract so you can imagine I've been working for this business for 7 years, 8 years, and then I take over, I buy the business and then lose a contract due to COVID. In a nutshell, they didn't want to continue, they couldn't afford to, and they actually closed down for good, one of the dealers. So, you know, I had to do my best then to make a decision. What am I going to do? I'm a contract down. I had to lay 3 members of staff up I've got working for me, which I didn't want to do. It's heartbreaking to see that, you know, you've just crushed their income. Not meaningfully, but you do. And it was horrible, you know, it was a real bad thing. I just felt so badly for them lads that not only myself, it was my dealership I was actually working at, the other dealership I had a manager for me working. So I was gone, I had 2 lads, and I said to them, I was like, look, I'll do everything I can to look after them at this point. But yeah, that went, and then that was when the decision was made. I sat down with Better, and I was like, is it time to start my own brand? Is this the actual time? Is it safe to start my own brand now? Yeah, so even though we'd lost the contracts, count your blessings that we had another one. So I remained, I kept the guys in that I've got there, I spoke to the guy who was a manager for me there. We kept that one running. So I had the conversation, and it was finally time to do my own brand. I've wanted my own detailing studio for years. I always did, you know, I went back doing foreigners, say you worked all week and check it out with the managers of the dealers. Can I bring my own car in? Can I do someone else's car on a Saturday? And granted, they'd let us use their facilities, which was nice. So with that, it was time for me to have my own studio, and fast forward, I spent the summer looking for units amongst other things, building the cars that arrived and whatnot. We had the MX-5 and the black one as well. So yeah, we was hunting for units for a while, couldn't find any, and then we landed on this place, which is in Bidford-on-Avon, near Stratford. Rent was that cheap, I couldn't pass it up. Already I was taking a gamble setting up a business mid-COVID period, so you know it was a big gamble and a big risk for me anyway to do, but it's something that I thought, if I don't do this now with this much passion fuel, I'm never going to do it, you know what I mean? So I was like, I'm just going to do it, I'm just going to put my hands on it, I'm going to lay it all out there. If it works, it works, if it doesn't, it doesn't, and at least I can say I tried. So we landed on this place. Finally got the keys in September. When I viewed it, I knew I wanted it straight away. I walked through the door and I was like, yeah, this is the one for me at that price. I only got round the corner and I parked the car up and I phoned the office and put my application in straight away. That's how desperate I was for it. Finally got the keys on September 1st, and we opened our doors officially on the 5th of October. Now, we had a big opening launch, and just to say a quick thank you to absolutely everybody that come down. It was typical, it was really nice weather for setting up, everything was perfectly weather-wise, and it was all excited. We had the big opening, spent, you know, me, my better, my kids, we all spent night and day in this place building it to what it is and getting it and decorating and everything. And then launch day came, which was the opening meet, and Mother Nature decided it's not to be and chucked out a gale force 10 rainstorm from literally morning right through to the afternoon. But still, everyone who said they were going to come attended more or less, and I can't thank people. I mean, I even got guys, you know, who work here and drove from Surrey just to be here, you know, in the middle of the rain. Guys like Bonnie that was here before I even opened, do you know what I mean? Because he said he wouldn't. I can't thank people enough. I'm obviously my two best friends, which, you know, Julia, Darryl, you know who you are. Just the support has been overwhelming, and I never in a million years thought that this building, what the brand that we can build, the studio, the customers, could happen. But as I sit here now, so fast forward right to where we're speaking, we've had customers' cars, we've done some real nice jobs, it's been really nice, we're still up and running. I've still got my Subaru here, and I'm just thankful basically for all the support that we've got. And we've grown the business, so going from the guy who was employed at £180 a week to wash whole cars with a hose pipe on the forecourt, to now having Rrm Autoworks as our own detailing studio. It's been quite a journey, and I'm blessed every single day that I get to come here and work and have fun, no matter what. Yeah, so to round it up, this little chat, backstory if you like. This is obviously the newest arrival of the fleet, my Toyota Starlet. Now, again, Gran Turismo days, PlayStation. This is a 1993 EP82, so it's a really early one. You know, it hasn't even got the quad headlights in the front, and obviously the lamps have followed that. I've wanted one of these for years. I know that there was controversial, and everyone was messaging me at the time about my Stager. I had a Nissan Stager, a Series 2, absolutely amazing car. Like, it's an RB25 single turn Skyline, but as a wagon. Real nice example. Credit to Robin, Epic Specials, who had it before me, and he done the majority of the work. I mean, I could build all my own cars, this one and everything else, you know. But that car was his car, you know. Kudos to him for maintaining that. It was a great car. But I sold it because I needed a van. I'm going to expand my business at doing a mobile detailing unit so I can go to clients' houses. So again, being a JDM guy, it's a Nissan Outbrand, you know, we converted it into a van. We've got the van now. And then I bought this so I still maintained a bit of Japanese investment, if you like. I mean, this one's going to stay forever. The other cars that they're going to stay, but this one's an investment. I can't wait to get it registered. And I just can't wait to be out on the road with it, you know. It's got full 12 months MOT. By the time this video goes out, this will be done, but it needs a good looking over. The paintwork's flat and it's swirled, but I'm going to sort that out. But as you see it now, it's literally straight from Japan. It's been in the UK 3 weeks. It's running a full 140 brake horsepower on second boost mode. And yeah, so we've got this to look forward to as well and play with. So all I can say here really is, again, thank you for watching, and from here on, this series will contain guests that I want to bring down, and I want to find out their backstories and your backstories. I want to know what's your passion, what got you into cars from a young age, why did you buy the cars that you've got, what makes them, that make and brand so special. I want to know everything. So anybody who's out there, who do you want to see inside the studio, bring them down and we'll get them in. So that's it then, guys. You found out my backstory and exactly why I love cars. Right from a young age, I've just really loved the passion about the noise they make, the styling, everything about them I've just absolutely loved, right from when I was little. So who do you want to see in the studio? Who do you want to see in here? It can be absolutely anybody, it doesn't matter who it is. It can be one of your friends. If you've got a nice car, if you've got a love and passion for builds, come see me, DM me, message me, hit me up on email, any way you want. Who do you want to see come in the studio, and whose backstory do you want to discover? For now though, I think I'm going to go and take a rip in the Starlet because I've not driven it yet. So let's go. So thanks for watching, people. I'll definitely see you on the next one. And remember, let me know who you want to see in the studio. See you for now.